Hey guys, it's Camille and welcome back to another episode of the Amateur's Journey into Customizing. It's Halloween time, as you can tell by my cute little pumpkin and my scarecrow thingy that's up there. See it? And speaking of Halloween, you guys know that I have been making a whole load of custom dolls for this year's Halloween stop motion, the Straight Razor Cabaret. And the next 3 episodes of the series are going to be dedicated to those customs, including today's. Now, making a doll specifically for a video is already hard enough. Having to make a doll specifically for a video that's supposed to resemble someone that actually exists in real life, that's a whole new challenge. Today's video is Aurelio Voltaire. Aurelio Voltaire, or just Voltaire for short, is a goth musician I came across on YouTube last fall while we were driving to Florida. I was watching a nostalgia critic video using one of his songs called Death, Death, Devil, Devil, Evil, Evil Song, and I decided to look him up from there, and I have been hooked ever since. And let me tell you, every time I want to think about Florida, I always put on Death, Death, Devil, Devil, Evil, Evil songs because I just remember that drive and the smell of the rain, and I'm getting very reminiscent. I need to stay on track. Anyways, I've been hooked to his music ever since then. He has done a variety of music genres, from jazz to sea shanties, rock music to cabaret and dark folk. One of my favorite songs of his is Straight Razor Cabaret, which is going to be this year's Halloween stop motion. And I wanted to create a Voltaire doll to star in the video to tell the story about the Straight Razor Cabaret. Literal blood, sweat, and tears have gone into this doll, and I'm not joking either. We were going through a heat wave when this custom was being made. I kept pricking my fingers multiple times during the reroute, so my fingertips were bleeding on occasion, and I was an emotional basket case during his repaint, so even though it's muted out in this, I'm silently sobbing in the background painting his face. But this was so totally worth it, so let's get started. Now, when choosing a doll to create Voltaire, I went through a lot of different choices, but the one I wound up with was Jasper Hale from Barbie's Twilight Saga line. Jasper was the only doll I liked for this custom. He was pale enough to resemble Voltaire, he didn't sparkle like my Edward doll, it was a win-win. On top of that, his lips formed more of a smirk instead of a sad face like my Edward. The clothes the doll came with are actually perfect for different parts of his outfit, but they're not the right color, so I'm taking black and white fabric paint to change the color of the clothes. Now, Voltaire is one seriously fashionable dude. His outfits are insanely elaborate and detailed, a lot of which my sewing capabilities can't handle. However, there is an outfit that I am able to replicate, which is this one. It's not as complicated as his other outfits, but there's still some nice detail to it. The only thing that I'm not going to include is the top hat, but the shirt and the pants that the doll came with, I can just change the colors to so that way I don't have to do a whole lot of sewing. The pants were easy to paint, because I only had to paint over the gold thread on the pants. His shirt, however, I had to paint white, and it took about 11 layers of fabric paint and 1 layer of white acrylic paint to make sure that no bloom was shown, it was fully opaque. And the clothes are not insanely stiff, so that was a nice plus. But I've had enough with his outfit for now, so let's chop off those luscious locks. I'm using my tiny scissors to cut the doll's hair, and then using pliers to remove the stubs. This doll had more glue than hair. It took me forever to remove this gunk from in his head. Like, here's the hair, and here's the shit that was not hair. It was a tedious process, but nevertheless, his head's finally clean. The hair I'm using on Voltaire today is a very short hank of nylon hair from dollyhair.com in the color Black Magic. I bought the shortest hank so that way when I have to style and cut his hair, there won't be a whole lot of it left. This is also a really nice black too, and it's gonna look awesome on him. I removed the brown paint off the doll's scalp prior to the reroute and painted it black. At this point, I've gone around the hairline and I'm just working my way up. Please excuse my very large arm. Since Jasper's body isn't articulated enough for my liking, Voltaire gets one of my old posable Ken bodies, but it's not pale like his head. In fact, it's practically tan. So I pretty much had to make a foundation, if you will, to paint on his neck and hands to match the skin tone of his head as closely as possible. I'm actually trying to blend it, if you will, with a Q-tip and thinning the paint out with water so it's not super thick, but I wound up having to brush on layers anyway. I take black acrylic paint and carefully paint his fingernails.
You better look down and shake it. Look down and shake it.
Once I finished the rear off camera, it was time to paint the doll's face. I want to get the face to resemble Voltaire as closely as possible. Right now I'm just ever so carefully and slowly painting on his beard and mustache with the help of a bunch of reference photos thanks to his constant selfies on Instagram. What's a nice plus is that Jasper already has sideburns painted on, so they're like guidelines for me. I'm working my way up very slowly and using tiny, small strokes so it looks a little more realistic. The beard is on his face. I added multiple layers of matte Mod Podge, so that way the beard is a little more three-dimensional. I start to paint his eyebrows black, painting over the original ones.
When I look out of my window, everything I see is hate and murder, stabbing, stealing, rape and larceny. Well, I heard that you can stop it, Lord, but you just let it be.
The mustache was a little more challenging, but I made it work out. I just had to paint very tiny, small strokes, and very slowly at that. I painted his eyes to a dark brown color and re-added the eye shines and pupils. Something I noticed while using reference photos is that part of his stage makeup included a little black heart on his cheek, so I wanted to include that. As soon as his face dried, I boil washed his hair. Now it's time for a trim. I wound up restyling his hair long after I finished him up, because it still looked too long to me. And since this is a guy's cut, I work extra slow and careful because I don't want to chop off too much hair.
Well, the preacher on the TV, he tells me if I'm poor.
All that's left now is to finish his outfit. Just like his clothes, Voltaire has some shoes that are equally as fancy. So I found my best pair of Ken shoes and painted over some of the detail work with a dark gray. All I need to do now is create the vest. At first I thought that gluing black velvet to a Ken tank top would probably work, but unfortunately it wouldn't fit because of the shirt he had on. That meant I had to sew him one. I took a rectangle of fabric, folded it in half, cut out a hole for his head, and I sewed it to his body and adjusted it when needed. At first it's going to look like a poncho, but it'll come together eventually. Finally, I glued on crystals for the buttons on his vest. I painted the buttons to match the ones that are on his vest in real life. After a bit of tweaking with his hair, he was all finished.
And I sang dab, dab, double, 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 evil, 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 evil songs. Hell, you know that's how I get along. The world is full of tragedy, so how can it be wrong? Singing death, 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 devil, devil, evil.
Voltaire is probably my favorite custom doll that I have done thus far. I love that he looks pretty close to the real Voltaire, and I'm much happier with his hair now.
And I was walking out.
V, that's one of our fake guitars. The strings are jewelry cords, they don't make noise, but they sure do look like the real thing. I did wind up forgetting a guitar for him for a while, but I finally got him one off of Etsy. I even gave him an itty bitty bottle of rum. The foundation that I made for him matches pretty well to the doll's skin tone, and best of all, he's really easy to animate. He's gonna make a great addition to my collection. Hi, I heard you don't have a guitar yet, and I feel really bad about that. I'm so sorry, but I got you something to make up for it. I heard you like rum, so I got this. You wouldn't believe. Oh my god, that's a big hug. I like big hugs. Welcome to the family, V. So thank you guys for watching this episode of The Amateur's Journey. Leave down in the comments what you think of Voltaire. I really think he turned out super nice. This is probably my most detailed custom thus far. And Voltaire, if you are watching this, I don't know if you are, but if you do, I really hope I gave this little guy justice, and I can't wait to use him for the video. And I just hope I did him justice. So thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Be sure to tell your friends and family about my channel. And if you guys have any questions about any of my videos at all, be sure to ask me in the comments. I will reply. I'll see you guys later. Bye!